Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast. Today is Thursday, July 25th, 2019. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's baseball games and look ahead to today's games. Talk about the trade deadline a little bit more. I promise my trade value rankings will be up tomorrow and on the podcast tomorrow. It's just a process. And obviously my best bet of the day. All right, to baseball we go. Yesterday's games were interesting. Some of them were blowouts, some of them were close, some of them were surprises, some of them were to be expected. So without further ado, here we go. The Rays defeat the Red Sox 3-2 as Tampa Bay goes to 58-47. Boston drops to 56-47. Charlie Morton the win. David Price the loss. Emilio Pagan the save. The story of this game is that the Red Sox played it under protest because Kevin Cash made a move in which he sent his pitcher that was relieving to first base to bring in another guy for another hitter, and then he takes out that guy and puts that same pitcher they moved to first base back at pitcher, and they completely removed the DH, and Alex Cora argued, and they wanted that game under protest, and they did, but they're not going to win the protest, let's just be honest. Because the Red Sox wouldn't have won the game if Tampa Bay doesn't make that move. They probably still lose because Tampa just played a better game. David Price, 6 innings, 4 3 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA 3.66. Charlie Morton, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts, ERA 2.6. Nationals over the Rockies 3-2 in Game 1 of their doubleheader. The Nats are 54-46. Colorado's 47-54. Wander Suaro the win. Getting charged with the loss for the Rockies, dropping the 1-1 on the year. Carlos Estevez and Sean Doolittle gets the save. Starting for the Nats was Eric Feed, 4 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, ERA 3.4. John Gray, 4 innings, 2 hits, an earned run, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, ERA 4.05. Phillies over the Tigers 4-0. The Phillies are 54-48. Detroit is 30-67. Vince Velasquez the win. Jordan Zimmerman the loss. Velasquez 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, ERA 4.46. Jordan Zimmerman 4 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, ERA 7.57. Brewers over the Reds 5-4. Milwaukee is 54-50. Cincinnati 46-54. Matt Albers the win. Lucas Sims the loss. Freddie Peralta the save. Julius Chacin started for the Brewers. 3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, ERA 5.79. Lucas Sims, 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, ERA 5.65. Astros over the Athletics 4-2. Houston is 66-38. Oakland is 56-45. Justin Verlander the win. Chris Bassett the loss. Roberto Osuna the save. Verlander 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, ERA 2.86. He looked like himself. Chris Bassett, 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 4.09. Diamondbacks over the Orioles 5-2. The Diamondbacks are 52-51. Baltimore is 32-69. Taylor Clark the win. John Means the loss. Yon Lopez the save. Clark, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 6.1. Means 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, ERA 3.12. That was probably his worst start of the year. Mariners over the Rangers 5-3. Seattle is 42-63. Texas is 51-51. Mike Leake the win. Mike Minor the loss. And Royan Acelias the save. Leake 7 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 4.25. Mike Minor 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, ERA of 3. Cubs over the Giants 4-1. A big win for the Cubs. San Francisco gets a loss. Maybe they'll think about selling again. Chicago's 55-47. San Fran 52-51. Getting the win for the Cubs, improving to 3-1 in the year. Kyle Ryan. Tyler Beede the loss. Craig Kimbrell the save. Tyler Chatwood started for the Cubs. 4 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, ERA 4.14. Tyler Beede 5 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts, ERA 4.85. Nationals over the Rockies 2-0 in game number 2 of the doubleheader. Nats are 55-46. Colorado's 47-55. Patrick Corbin the win. Kyle Freeland the loss. Sean Doolittle the save. Corbin was tremendous. 6 innings, 3 hits, and no earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 3.25. Kyle Freeland, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts, ERA of 7. So a good bounce back start for him. Cardinals over the Pirates, 14-8. Cardinals 54-47. Pittsburgh is 46-55. Adam Wainwright the win. Jordan Lyles the loss. Story of this game. Paul DeJong 3 homers. Wainwright 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, ERA 4.63. Lyles an inning and 2/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, ERA 5.36. Indians over the Blue Jays 4-0. Cleveland is 59-42. Toronto's 39-65. Shane Bieber the win. Marcus Stroman the loss. Bieber with a complete game, 1 hit, 1 walk, 10 strikeout game, ERA 3.44. Marcus Stroman pitched well in defeat, 7 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, a walk, 6 strikeouts, ERA 2.96. Padres over the Mets 7-2. The Pods are 48-53. The Mets are 46-55. Matt Strom the win, Noah Syndergaard the loss. Daniel Lamet started for the Pods, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, ERA of 5. Noah Syndergaard, 7 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA 4.33. Royals over the Braves, 2-0. The Royals are 39-64, Atlanta 16-43. Brad Keller to win, Julio Teheran the loss, Ian Kennedy the save. Brad Keller, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, ERA 3.95. Julio Teheran, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, ERA 3.42. Yankees over the Twins 10-7, a good series win for New York. 66-35. Minnesota 61-40. Nestor Cortez Jr. gets the win. He's 4-0. Jake Odorizzi the loss. 11-5. Aroldis Chapman gets his 26th save of the year. J Happ was not very good. 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, rate 5.23. Jake Odorizzi wasn't good either. 4 innings, 10 hits, 9 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, rate 3.84. Marlins over the White Sox 2-0. Miami's 38-62. Chicago's 45-54. Zach Gallen the win. Reynaldo Lopez the loss. Sergio Romo the save. Zach Gallen, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, and walk, 9 strikeouts. He raised 2.76. Reynaldo Lopez pitched well. He looked like the guy from last year. 8 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, and walk, 10 strikeouts. He raised 5.52. Angels over the Dodgers 3-2. Angels are 54-49. Dodgers are 67-37. Jaime Barria the win. Ross Stripling the loss. Hansel Robles the save. Jaime Barria, 5 innings, 3 hits, and a run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 6.63. Ross Stripling, 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts, ERA 3.64. Not so concerned about the Dodgers after 2 losses to LA. The rivals are playing for a cause that wants to get their fans happy. But it's an unfortunate cause, though. They're playing for Tyler Skaggs, so it kind of makes sense that the Angels are playing well, even though they're not going to be a contender or anything for the wild card. Going on right now is the Padres and the Mets. You have Eric Lauer going up against Jacob deGrom. Mets should win that game. 12:30, Cardinals, Pirates, Miles Mikolas and Joe Musgrove. 4 o'clock, Rockies, Nationals, Jeff Hoffman and Max Scherzer. 7 o'clock, MLB Network, Yankees, Red Sox, Bob Costas, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal on the call. I don't pick the MLB Network games very often because this is a big one. It has to be picked. The Red Sox are playing for their season. They have to come away with the series win here to really put themselves back in a good position to make the wild card. Perhaps if they have a losing weekend against the Yankees, who knows, maybe Dave Dombrowski will end up selling off some pieces. So the pressure is solely on the Boston Red Sox this weekend. The big series for them. You have Masahiro Tanaka against Rick Porcello. Neither of these guys have pitched well recently. This was ironically the same pitching matchup as the first London game, and both of these guys were awful. But let's face it, that was in London. This is Fenway Park. Masahiro Tanaka has pitched very well in Fenway Park throughout his career in the big leagues. And Rick Porcello normally has pitched well at Fenway Park against the Yankees throughout his Red Sox tenure. So this is a tough call. I'm going to pick the Yankees in this game. because I trust Tanaka more than Rick Porcello, and I trust the Yankees bullpen more than the Red Sox bullpen. That's what it comes down to. I think both teams will score their fair share of runs. It'll be a high-scoring game, and I don't expect this game to end before 10:30 for sure. So give me the Yankees in a game that sort of reminiscent the Twin Series a little bit, maybe like a 9-6 Yankees victory, and I'd be all over the over in this game. You have the Twins and the White Sox. James Berrios and Lucas Giolito, so a good pitching matchup in that game. Indians Royals at 8:15. Adam Pluko and Mike Montgomery. Orioles Angels at 10 o'clock. You have Jacob Yacobanis and Jose Suarez. Suarez is probably your opener for the Angels tonight. Rangers Athletics. Ariel Gerardo and Brett Anderson. Big series for the Athletics here to establish themselves as you're really in this thing. And for the Rangers, it's big. If they can steal the series from Oakland, they can put themselves back in a buyer's position potentially. I don't think they're going to do that. I think John Daniels knows that he's going to sell because they have not played well lately. This is opposite of San Francisco in a weird way because San Francisco's playing hot and they're 500 now and they might end up standing pat and buying. Texas, meanwhile, is teetering and John Daniels might just say sell. So, I think that if the Rangers were to have a big series here, then they really can put themselves back in the buyer's market. So we'll see. And I really think that Mike Minor can be had, especially if Texas splits or loses the series in Oakland. And then last but not least, Tigers, Mariners, two horrendous teams. You have Drew Verhagen and then probably an opener for the Mariners tonight. Doesn't say who on the list yet. We'll talk about the trade deadline for a few minutes before I go to best bet. We'll just go around team by team. Not going to go a lot here. Blue Jays are probably going to trade Marcus Stroman and Ken Giles. We'll see where. I talked about the possible destinations over the past couple podcasts. I think the Yankees are the front runners for Marcus Stroman. I don't think they'll package him and Giles together. I think Giles will go to another contender, maybe somewhere in the National League. Maybe it's the Red Sox. But I don't see the Yankees having interest in Ken Giles at all. I don't think they like him. That he's just not somebody that's meant for New York. I'm not sure Stroman is either. I would say that the Yankees would have better options than Stroman, such as San Francisco's Madison Bumgarner, Cleveland's Trevor Bauer. I think the latter's staying put because Cleveland is currently occupied of the first wild card right now. And then Bumgarner, it depends on how the Giants do against San Diego over the weekend. If they get swept, I think they sell. Even if they lose 2 out of 3, I think they sell. Right now, we'll see about Bumgarner. And then Zach Greinke, I think, would be a viable option for any contender as well. Even though he's overpaid, he's having a tremendous season. He's actually going to be higher than some folks think on my trade value rankings that are coming out tomorrow. And then the other guy is obviously Noah Syndergaard, who I think every contender except the Yankees could be in play for. And the reason why I kind of rule the Yankees out for Syndergaard is because I don't think Jeff Wilpon wants to trade with the team from the Bronx. So I think the Yankees' options are Stroman, Bumgarner, Bauer, and Greinke, maybe Robbie Ray. And I think they'll go out and get a reliever. I don't know if it's Alex Colomb. Maybe it's Giles if he's in the Stroman package. We'll see. Red Sox need a reliever. Giles is obviously a good option. I think they're okay offensively. I don't think the Sox will go out and get another starter because I think they'll probably roll with Sale and Price at the top and then Eddie Rodriguez, who's made somewhat of a jump this year and shown some improvement, along with Rick Porcello and Andrew Cashner in the back end of the rotation, and they move Evaldi to the bullpen. I think that's what they'll roll with because I don't think they're 100% sure if they're even a playoff team. And I think Dave Dombrowski is smart, and if they lose this Yankee series and lose some ground to the Indians in the AL wild card and the Athletics and the Rays, I wouldn't necessarily rule out somewhat of a sell-off. Maybe they trade Porcello. Maybe they trade JD Martinez. I don't think they'll do Mookie Betts like some people in the industry have speculated. If anything, Mookie Betts, if they don't want to pay him long-term, maybe he's moved this winter, not necessarily this summer. Because this winter, there will be more suitors. And then also in the AL East, you have the Rays who need a bat desperately, and I think they can use another reliever as well, particularly a closer. I don't think Emilio Pagan's the answer. So if I'm them, I try to package something together for Kirby Yates or Shane Green or Brad Hand if Brad Hand were to be dealt, which I doubt because they're in the race. And then you have the Orioles. It's interesting. John Means has been tremendous this year as a rookie. Is there a chance that they sell high on him? Probably not. I'd keep him as like a building block. He's going to be pretty high on the trade value rankings too. So I'd keep John Means. I think Trey Mancini's in play. Michael Givens is in play. And a lot of other pieces on that team is in play on that Major League roster because they're enduring a very lengthy rebuild. AL Central, Indians, I think they'll buy. I think that outfield's their priority, and maybe they'll grab an arm for their pen and bank on Corey Kluber coming back and being close to the guy that he was 5 years ago, but not quite there, per se. Twins need pitching in the worst way possible. That's what's going to hold them back if they're held back by anything. So I think that they'll get a starting pitcher, and I think they need a closer too, because they probably should have won that Yankees series, and if it wasn't for their bad bullpen and starting pitching, they win that Yankees series. Jake Odorizzi just didn't have it yesterday. He's been good this year, but he's not an ace. He's a middle guy. They need an ace to go with Berrios on top of that rotation. And by the way, the Yankees lucked out by missing Berrios in that series, even though they've had success against Berrios before. And then you have the three sellers in that division, the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Royals. We'll start with the White Sox. I think Alex Colom's gone, probably. I don't think they'll trade Abreu. I think that they'll just take the qualifying offer draft pick compensation for him because he's a free agent at the year's end. Royals, they traded Martin Maldonado. Maybe Mike Montgomery pitches well today and they can flip him and get assets for him. I think that any of their core pieces like Whit Merrifield, Hunter Dozier, Adalberto Mondesi are all off limits, but I think Merrifield can be moved in the off-season potentially, but I just don't think they would move him in season because I think more teams being play for him in the off-season. And then Ian Kennedy could be had. I think that a team like Boston would be good for him, or Minnesota, Washington. Like, there's some good options for Ian Kennedy. Jake Dykman, the reliever, will probably be on the move. Tigers, Matt Boyd. I predicted on the podcast that he'd be traded to the Padres, but it's going to take a lot. And I think the Padres have a lot to offer for Matt Boyd. And Shane Green, I think, is going to net the Tigers a nice haul, too. So will Nicholas Castellanos. Those three guys, I think, are all available. And I think two of the three will be moved right now. But I wouldn't rule out all three being moved. So should be interesting to see what happens there. AL West, the Astros, I think, need starting pitching and relief help, particularly starting pitching help. I think that after Garrett Cole in that rotation, I think that I don't think they're screwed per se, but they can use better than Wade Miley. Wade Miley's been okay this year, but they can use somebody better. Like if Noah Syndergaard became available to them, that would be a great add. And I think Syndergaard would thrive in Houston. That would just be the perfect fit for that team. And they would have to give up Kyle Tucker if they want to get that third big arm in that rotation. But if they decide to go to a middle-tier arm like a Charlie Morton type, not that Charlie Morton's available by any stretch of the imagination, I'm just using him as a name. Maybe Ian Kennedy, if they can convert him back into a starter. Actually, no, he's a little worse than that type. Mike Minor is the guy that I think it would fit nicely in that Astros rotation. But the problem there is I don't think John Daniels would trade with your in-state rival. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. The Athletics are suddenly in second place in that division. They've been very good for over 2 months now. I think that's a possible playoff team. I think they can use another arm. I predicted Robbie Ray to Oakland on the podcast, and I think that there's a chance they trade for another outfielder, whether that's Baltimore's Trey Mancini or Detroit's Nicholas Castellanos. So they could use some outfield help as well, and maybe another arm. We'll see, or bullpen arm. We'll see what Oakland does. Texas, I think, will sell. Mike Minor, I think, is going to go. I don't think Mazzara or Gallo is going to go. I think that Chris Martin might go. He's an underrated reliever on the market. He reminds me of Tommy Kahnle from a few years ago, who kind of broke out. Nobody knew much about him. And when Tommy Kahnle came over to the Yankees at the deadline in 2017, then people started to open their eyes and realize that this guy was really good and helping his team in the pennant race. I think Chris Martin could do that too. And I think that the Dodgers would be a great fit for him. So would the Yankees, actually. And I don't think John Daniels would trade him to Houston. As I mentioned, I don't see them trading with their division rival in state. Angels are going to be a seller, I think. It's unfortunate because of the Skaggs situation. But I think that's a seller. I don't know if they'll trade Cole Calhoun, but I can see them trading Hampton Rosian and a couple of their relievers. Hansel Robles, I think, can get something for as well. Seattle's an obvious seller. That's clearly the worst team in that division. I predicted trade that would send Daniel Vogel back to the Rays. That's my surprise player traded. I initially had Whit Merrifield as that, but I talked myself out of that and talked myself into Dan Vogel back. And by the way, Jerry DiPoto loves the deal. So that's why I have Dan Vogel back as my surprise player trade, and I have them being dealt to Tampa Bay, where they have a need at first base /DH to go with the breakout star, or soon-to-be star, Nate Lau. So that would be just a really good ad for Tampa Bay if they're able to pull that off. They could send a couple good prospects over to Seattle as well. The NL East. Atlanta's going to win that division, I think. They need another starter. They can use 2 relievers, and I think their offense is set. Madison Bumgarner and Will Smith would be perfect for that team, but who knows if San Francisco is going to move them. We'll see. The Nationals need some relief help and maybe a number 5 starter. I think Jordan Lyles, change of scenery, could benefit from him. And on the flip side, their bullpen, I talked about Ian Kennedy earlier. He'd be a good fit there in D.C. Jake Dykman of the Royals, Ken Giles on Washington would be interesting. So I could see them going out and getting a good reliever that's on the market. The Mets are going to be a seller. Now there's talks about Edwin Diaz being on the market. That's going to be interesting. I don't know what they can get for him. He's been terrible this year. But somebody might still overpay for him because he's still under team control for a while. And there's some stats that suggest that this bad year has been somewhat of a fluke. And some of it has to do with the Mets rather than the pitcher himself. Noah Syndergaard's available. I discussed that a couple minutes ago. Zach Wheeler starting Friday night as his last stand, probably his final start as a Met. I think that barring an injury, he'll be traded. I think Milwaukee's the team for him. The Philadelphia Phillies will be a buyer. They need a starting pitcher. I think Mike Minor would be a perfect fit there. I actually predicted Minor to Philly on the podcast when I did the trade deadline predictions. I think that would be a really good fit. They also need a reliever as well. I think Ian Kennedy would be a good fit in Philly, too. So there's just a lot of guys that stick out to me that would be a good fit with Philly. But to me, they need either a cohesive Aaron Nola or a good number 3 like Mike Minor to go in that rotation. Now the NL Central. The Cubs, their biggest need is clearly bullpen. Craig Kimbrell can't do it alone. Pedro Strope's been terrible this year. Brad Brock's been terrible this year. So they need to go get a reliever. or two. We'll see. I think that Michael Givens is an option for them. I think that Ken Giles could be a sleeper option, not as a closer, but as like a eighth inning guy potentially. We'll see. With the Cubs, their farm system's weak, so I'm not sure if they're going to go big name hunting. Maybe they'll settle in for Jake Dykman or Roenis Elias from the Mariners or something like that. Another team is the Brewers. I wonder if they're just going to stand pat because they have not played well lately. Christian Yelich just can't do it alone. Keston Hiura's brought that team a nice boost offensively, but their pitching is so bad and their bullpen's underachieved this year. So I wonder if their front office is going to realize that they're not that good and not do anything and sit on their hands. Another name I heard on the market is Jesus Aguilar. He's not had a good year at all. He's regressed from last year, a predictable regression, by the way. I even called it in my preseason predictions podcast. So, going to be interesting to see what the Brewers do. The Cardinals are a buyer for sure. They hold the second wild card right now. And the case for San Francisco to sell, by the way, they lose out. Cardinals and Nationals continue to win. So maybe that does force San Francisco to sell a little bit if the Cardinals continue to play better and hang on to that second wild card. They're playing great. I think they need some relief help. I think Sergio Romo would be a good option for him. Rodney's on Washington. Why do I think Rodney was on the Marlins? I meant to say Sergio Romo. Jake Dykman, I don't know if KC would trade with their in-state rival. Another guy I think could be had for the Cardinals is Michael Givens of Baltimore. Maybe Daniel Hudson of the Blue Jays, maybe. So, should be interesting. And Hudson would be a good fit on Chicago, too, by the way. Another team that I think is going to be interesting is Pittsburgh. What are they going to do? I think they'll sell. They won't trade Josh Bell. They won't trade Starling Marte, but I think that they could deal Felipe Vasquez for the right price if the Dodgers or somebody overpaid. Maybe the Yankees overpay, who knows. But I think somebody will overpay for Felipe Vasquez, even though the GM, Neil Huntington, came out and said that they're not trading for Felipe Vasquez. I think they trade Felipe Vasquez. Because I just think that teams are in dire need of bullpen help and somebody will overpay, whether it's New York or LA or Houston, somebody will overpay. And then you have the Reds in that division. I think they'll sell. Yasiel Puig and the Indians, I think, are the match made in heaven. The Indians badly need outfield help, and I think that Puig would really help that team a lot. And he's having a solid bounce back after a slow start to the year. Quickly, NL West, Dodgers are going to be a buyer. They're going to get two relievers. And if they get two relievers, I think they're set and are the runaway favorites in the National League, unless if the Braves pull off a Bumgarner trade. We'll go to San Francisco next. I think that this weekend will factor into what they do. If they lose the Padres series, they'll sell. If they win the Padres series, they'll buy. It reminds me of the 2016 Yankees a little bit with Aroldis Chapman and Andrew Miller. It reminds me of the 2014 Rays with David Price, except Price had a year and a half left on his contract, and Bumgarner is in his contract year. That's the difference there. And then you have the Rockies, who I think will be a seller. They have not played well lately, so I think they'll sell. I don't know if they'll trade Charlie Blackmon, probably not. But I could see them moving on from Sam Oberg and pieces that are in their bullpen. The Padres, I think, will sell and buy, potentially. If the right starting pitcher is available, like Syndergaard or Matt Boyd, I think they could see them overpaying a little bit. And then on the flip side, I think they can trade pieces like Kirby Yates and Craig Stammen and get some good pieces back for them. And I don't see them trading like Hunter Renfroe or Franmil Reyes unless if they headline a package that nets them Syndergaard or Matt Boyd or any other good starting pitcher that's young and controllable. Diamondbacks are going to sell. I think they trade Robbie Ray. Maybe they trade Zach Greinke too. Greinke would help a contender. The bullpen has some nice pieces like Young Lopez. I don't think they'll trade Archie Bradley. His value isn't that high right now. He hasn't had that great of a year. But I could see some of their relievers go, and I don't think they'll trade any of their younger players like Christian Walker or anything like that. Maybe Adam Jones goes. Maybe Eduardo Escobar goes. I don't see Ketel Marte going anywhere either. And then, last but not least, best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There's some interesting baseball games to choose from on the slate. Some day games, some night games. We'll see what's on the market. All right. Padres and Mets are going on right now, so I won't pick that. We'll go with the Nationals. We'll go with the Indians. We'll go with the Angels. And we'll go with the Athletics as like a wild card pick. A shade notch below 4-1. Wagering dollar payout of $4.94. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow with the trade value list finally, going over the baseball games, best bet, and whatnot. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.